What's up? This is Chosen, and this is gonna be a fun one. This is like Christmas come early for gamers because we have got a lot of stuff to go over in terms of new content. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, the main gist of this video is going to be going over Valkyrie, the community manager for Raid, posting in the official Raid Discord. Lots of new goodie information for us. I'm going to give you a live first reaction and try to do my best to give you some context in what exactly was in that and kind of go through it together with you. Also, really quickly, the Bergoth Fragment Summit event is going to be going on. We can see it actually in game right now. I do have a dedicated video about Bergoth and kind of everything you need to know about that, going over the kit and stuff. But that's not what we're going to do right now. We are going to go over this post together. So let me go ahead and pull this up. So all right, hey everyone, the long-awaited Doom Tower is almost ready to go live. If they go by what they have been saying to us the whole time, the Doom Tower should be live in about 2 or 3 weeks. So okay, these update highlights will include a thorough explanation of the feature. Additionally, we'll showcase new champions, both the ones you can win in the Doom Tower and the ones we will release for the coming holidays. And updates for some underperforming artifact sets went through. It's the first time Plarium is doing that, and I hope that's a sign of things to come. Let's keep the metas shifting and keep the sets up to date. All right, so cool. First, Doom Tower basics. Doom Tower is a new game mode that will feature 132 stages, 108 common floors, 12 boss floors, 12 secret rooms for you to fight through. It will be available in normal and hard difficulties, both of which will be repeatable. The Doom Tower resets every 30 days, erasing your progress rankings and rotating some of the bosses. So that is cool. I was actually just talking about this in my Chosen's Corner episode with BGE, how it would be great if Raid had some sort of seasonal type thing where it resets, you start from scratch, and tackle the content again, similar to the Battle Pass, but that was kind of a one-off, and they never did it again for some reason. So it looks like this is going to kind of perform as that mechanic. It's going to reset every 30 days and let you start from the beginning and fight through it again. So hey, I like how that's sounding so far. Golden keys and silver keys will be added to the game when the Doom Tower goes live. Golden keys will be required to access a floor for the first time. Silver keys will let you access secret rooms or replay boss floors you have previously completed. In both cases, the key will be subtracted from your total if you successfully complete the floor or secret room. So that most of that is par for the course in terms of what we thought kind of in the last few weeks in terms of leaks and things coming through, and it's going to function a little bit similarly to Faction Wars. Neither golden nor silver keys can be purchased. You get another mechanic that makes it kind of like Faction Wars. Limit of 10 keys on both, resets at 0 UTC every day. However, if you receive these keys as a reward for in-game activity, they will be available for you to use before the next reset. Yep, all of that pretty expected. Doom Tower will follow a classic scheme. Your champions fight through 3 rounds of enemies, which is similar to dungeon. Well, not all dungeons. Spider, for instance, is different, but your normal dungeons like Dragon and Fire Knight and stuff. Every 10th floor will be a boss fight. These bosses will be different, and their power will scale with the difficulty you've chosen and your progress. The boss on floor 110 will be much tougher than the boss on floor 10. So yeah, it's just going to get tougher and tougher as you progress, which is completely expected. Secret rooms will pose additional challenge as they require specific conditions to complete, such as using champions, specific rarity, faction, or type. We've gone over all of that in dedicated videos where the secret rooms are going to have special mechanics that you will need to compete in them. We'll release a video guide a few days before the update and give you all a unique insight on Doom Tower bosses, their strengths, weaknesses, and provide some advice on fighting them. Hey, now, come on, that's our job here. All right, and then they've got a couple pictures of some Doom Tower stuff. So this looks like one of the waves, and this looks like a boss fight. They always do an amazing job with the aesthetics, and yeah, this looks super cool. It looks like this could have also been kind of a Void Tower type thing, so that's not surprising because they were calling it the Void Tower for like 2 years. So the purple kind of Void Shard theme seems to kind of be going with that aesthetic here, so that's cool. Rewards, now on to rewards. Completing a floor for the first time will earn you a set reward that cannot be farmed again before the Doom Tower is reset. Beating boss floors will reward you with materials for the artifact forge, and each boss will reward materials for a specific set. So it sounds like you'll be able to craft these in the forge with materials that you earn in the Doom Tower, and these are the sets. Fatal is going to be attack 15 and crit rate 5. We were kind of theory crafting that might be what it is. So it's a pretty good set for a damage dealer. Really, it makes it a lot easier to use crit damage gloves. Then we've got Untouchable. Is going to be res plus 40 and immunity for 2 turns. Wow. Yeah, that's gonna be a good arena set, especially for defensive absorb teams. So yeah, it's basically just combining resistance and immunity sets. Wow, yeah, that's gonna be really good for certain teams in the arena. Affinity Breaker. This is gonna be crit damage plus 30, 20% chance to deal a critical hit instead of a weak hit. So okay, I guess when you hit weak, there's a little chance there you will get a crit from the weak hit, and then you also get a big boost to your crit damage. So okay, it's basically just a better version of the crit damage set that you get from the Fire Knight. Okay, and then Frostbite is going to be 2 artifacts per set, 15% chance to resist freeze, 10% chance to place a freeze, debuff on the attacker, chances increase to 30, 45, and 20 or 30% respectively with more artifacts. Oh, okay, so yeah, it's just going to keep stacking the more you wear there. In addition to artifact materials, you'll be able to win champion fragments by completing secret rooms. Remember, you can only get this reward once per cycle. The fragments will refresh once the Doom Tower resets, so to be sure to complete as many secret rooms as possible. And then these are the champions that can be collected in the Doom Tower, and they won't be available anywhere else in the game. So that is an important note. The fragments for champions that you are going to be acquiring in the Doom Tower, these champions are not going to be in shards. That's a very common question when new champions are coming out these days. And the first one we saw with that mechanic was Lydia, the reward for faction wars. It was kind of a hot topic in the community, wondering, is she or should she be in shards? It turned out she is not, and it turns out that these are also going to be the same. They will not be in shards. So first up, we've got Thea the Tomb Angel, and some of these champions, I bet you, were kind of leaked and data mined a few months ago. I did a dedicated video going over these, but it's nice to get a live actual look at them officially from Plarium. So okay, so Thea Tomb Angel is going to be an attack champion for the Night Revenant. Attack 2 times at random, 75% chance. I'm sure we can book that to 100. 2 times at random of placing a hex for 5 turns. Each critical hit decreases the cooldown of Not of This World down here. Okay. Wow, okay. Ascended, that's the one we should be reading. Attacks 2 times at random with basically 100% chance of placing a hex for 5 turns, and it cannot be resisted. Wow, that's it looks like it has some potential of some pretty consistent hexing there. And then we've got the A2 here. Attack all enemies. Damage increases by 50% for each hex debuff on the enemy team. Wow, okay, stacks up to 300%. Remove all hex debuff from all enemies after attacking. Okay, so yeah, okay, that's gonna synergize with the A2 being so long. You'll have the hex the whole time, and then hex currently in the game is only done by the Minotaur. We don't have any champions that place hex ourselves. We can only receive it from the Minotaur. So this is gonna be the introduction to the player being able to produce hex debuffs on enemies. So that's cool. Place a perfect veil on the champion for 3 turns, then grant an extra turn, and then with critical hits lowering the cooldown of this. Looks like Thea is going to be pretty permanently perfectly veiled, and okay, so pretty good there. 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn when an enemy loses 30% or more of their max HP from a single hit. So that's just a passive effect. I guess when anybody on your team hits an enemy super hard and does more than 30% of their max HP, there is a 50% chance to place a True Fear on them. So yeah, Thea is going to be one of those where it looks pretty good. We would have to see it in game and really do a lot of testing to really know the scope of exactly how good, but looks promising. I like the design, and Thea looks pretty fun there. We've got another legendary here, a Gomlock Skyhide, a force support from the Orcs. Okay, so attack 1 enemy, 50% chance of placing a leech for 2 turns, has a 50% chance of placing a leech for 2 turns on 2 random enemies if this champion has full HP. Okay, so some pretty consistent leeching for your team. Attack 1 enemy, 60% chance of stealing 2 random buffs from the target. That's good. Also a 60% chance of decreasing target's turn meter by 50%. Steals 50% of target's turn meter instead. Okay, so synergizing really well with having full HP. and thus synergizing with the leech there. Then we've got attack all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a 75% chance that you can probably book to 100 of placing the big version of decreased defense on all enemies for 2 turns. The first hit on each target also has a 75% chance. I'm sure you can also book that to 100 of decreasing turn meter by 10%. The second hit on each target will have a chance of placing a weaken. So, okay, yeah, so another one that just synergizes with full HP. Some potential here to snowball on Gomlock. Lots of qualifiers on a legendary on all these abilities, which is a little bit unfortunate, but they're pretty good qualifiers. Whenever 4 or more buffs are placed on the enemy team in a single turn, places a shield buff on this champion equal to 15% of the champion's max HP. Okay, that's cool because I can't see that cooldown. I can't see that. That's weird. It's like part of the text, and it's small on my screen. I can't really see that. But anyway, the functionality of that is to help him stay at full HP, because if you place a shield, they're gonna do damage to the shield instead of his HP, so he can start synergizing these abilities. So that's good. Interesting. I like what they did there. That'll be a fun one to test out. And then Urast, the Soul Cage. Okay, another Void legendary. All right, so attacks 1 enemy. Does not look like a demon spawn, by the way. That looks like a blob, like a undead maybe. I don't know. Just that looks differently or different aesthetically than any faction really. Attacks 1 enemy. Place a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of champion's max HP. Shield value increases by 1% for each poison on the debuff. An A1 is placing a pretty big self shield and stacking with poisons. That could get pretty significant stacking every turn there. Interesting. Then we've got AoE with a 75% chance of decreasing the turn meters by 15% if they are under poison. Also 75% chance, and anytime it's a 75, you could basically book it to 100, I'm sure. And then decrease speed as well for 2 turns if they're under 2 or more poison debuffs. And then also 75% chance of placing a stun if they're under 3 or more. That's a tough qualifier to get outside of the clan boss, to get people under 3 poisons. But that's an insane ability if you're able to get it. If you get the qualifiers to stack up. And then instantly activates the skill when revived by Elemental Conjurer. So a little bit of a tandem ability there for another champion that'll be released. Places a 25% strength and buff on all allies for 2 turns, and the big version of ally protection for 2 turns. So that's, yeah, pretty solid support here, especially with the A1 placing shield. Then we've got a long passive here. When attacked, has a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff on the attacker. Oh, okay, so that'll help with keeping the poisons up consistently. Whenever an ally is attacked while under a strengthen buff, has a chance to place a provoke on them for 1 turn. That's pretty cool because they do place strength and increases the champion's max HP by 5% whenever an enemy receives damage from a poison. Wow. Okay, whenever an enemy receives damage placed by this champion, also decreases their max HP. So that's pretty good. That's some nice just ancillary value to have on an ability for a passive. Cannot decrease a champion's max HP by more than 25% in one battle. Will not decrease boss's max HP. Cannot increase this champion's max HP by more than 50%. Increase ally resist in all battles by 80. Yeah, this champion looks pretty cool. There's lots of synergy capabilities. Yeah, stun, decrease speed, poison synergy, strength and ally protection, self-shielding, a passive that works, resist in all battles. Yeah, that one. Oh, here we go. This champion will be in the undead hordes. Yeah, okay, I was gonna say that doesn't really look like a demon spawn. Interesting, but it also doesn't really look like an undead. It just looks like a blob, at least in the thumbnail there. So that is interesting. Then we've got Royal Archmage. Okay, this is an epic, so I'm gonna try to go through these quickly. I don't want this video to be an hour long. I'll go through these really quickly, unless they're legendaries. Epic, fill turn meter by 10%, and fill 20% if critical. So it's this champion's turn meter. That's pretty good for an A1. 1 enemy attack, all enemies in the first attack. Each hit place a stun. Okay, interesting. And then we've got 30% increased speed, 30% increased on all allies for 2 turns. That's a really good support ability for an epic. Yeah, okay. Royal Archmage is going to be pretty solid for Bannerlords here as an epic. Immune to turn meter decreasing. Increased ally speed in arena battles. I mean, it's all right. It's better than nothing, but that's a kind of a subpar aura there, but yeah, that increased speed, increased crit rate, and increased crit damage is a really good buff ability for support. So yeah, Royal Archmage will be probably a top 20, top 25 epic. Inferno Golem, one enemy, 30% increased crit rate, decrease, okay, debuff, AoE, HP burn, chance of placing the debuff, okay, interesting. AoE HP burn, that's not super common. And then another AoE, increasing the cooldown of all skills by 2 turns for enemies under HP burn. That's pretty good. Also places a shield buff on all allies, okay. But it's a defense champion, so okay. Interesting though. That definitely interesting for an epic. 10% chance of placing a fear. This is a passive whenever they take damage from. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty solid as well. And then a pretty good aura. All battles HP by 25%. Yeah, Inferno Golem will also probably be a pretty solid epic if I had to guess. Top 25, top 30 epic. Looking pretty solid just as a quick kind of first impression. Elemental Conjurer. This is one we saw that pairs with the blob up here. Right here with the activate the skill and revive. So this champion's gonna have some sort of revive. Okay, one enemy, 50% chance of block buffs. Wow, that's good on an A1. Especially if you can book that to like 70, 75. A1 that places block buffs for 2 turns on an epic champion. That's a really good A1. 75% chance. You can probably book that to 100. Placing a weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. Oh, removing all buffs and place a weaken. So similar to kind of a Ceres ability where you remove all buffs and then place decreased defense and decreased attack. This is going to remove all buffs and then place a weaken. So very similar ability to Ceres. And if that thing can get booked to 3 turns, that's going to be insanity. That's really, really good for an epic champion. Wow, these epics are looking like they have some potential here. Revive ally with 50% HP. Filter meter, but also place a block debuff for 2 turns. Revive a dead ally. So a single target revive will also revive. Oh, some of these other champions. When also if the target will be revived. So okay, just a kind of a synergistic revive ability that pairs with being on the same team as other champions here. And then ally accuracy in all battles by 40. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be probably a top 10 epic, because that's similar to Madame Ceres, but with a better A1. You could target somebody you want to keep block buffs on. Yeah, super good epic. This Elemental Conjurer is probably going to be a top 10 epic, I would think, with the CC A1 and then the AoE buff strip that also places weaken. That's going to be a similar role to Ceres and be really good. Also revive if you pair in the right team. All right, after the patch releases, the name of this champion will be Rian the Conjurer. After the patch release, what does this mean? After the patch release, the name of the champion will be Akoth the Seared. What are these? Update after patch release. Oh, so they're changing the names. Uras the Soul Cage, Uras the Soul Cage. Okay, I must have missed those little these little bottom text things. So I guess they're changing the, so instead of Royal Archmage, they're changing it to Archmage Helmut. Inferno Golem's gonna change to Akoth the Seared. Elemental Conjurer is gonna be changed to Rian the Conjurer. Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. I think I got it now. So they're changing the names after they kind of made the artwork here. I don't know why they couldn't just update the text here, but I guess they wanted to go with the same images here. Okay. Every player who completed floor 10 will get placement in the Doom Tower rankings. These are separated into the following categories: global and clan. So it looks like you're going to have individual rankings and also clan rankings to see how you're stacking up to other people in raid based on progress in the Doom Tower. So that's fun. Rankings will be further divided by difficulty, normal and hard. Completing Doom Tower floors will award ranking points and increase your standing. Much like what you see in tournaments, when a Doom Tower resets, the game will also display a pop-up with the current rankings to highlight the most successful players. Okay, so that's fun. All right, so a lot to go over in this video. Sorry if it's a little bit long-winded. Hang in there with me because this next part is super important. I have no idea how to say this. Pixneal? That's what I'm going with. Let me know if I'm wrong. Pixneal. And what I believe we're hearing behind the scenes and what I'm kind of hearing in the community is this is going to be the Christmas Fusion that is going live as kind of the Christmas Fusion event. And it's going to be this legendary from the High Elves, and then this legendary is going to drop at the same time just as a release to the game. And then we've got 2 epics here that'll be part of the fusion, and then it's going to be more like an old school type fusion where there's other champions that are part of it, maybe 2 new epics and then 2 epics that have been in the game already. So that's what I know right now. I'll keep you guys up to date if I learn more, but yeah, let's go over Pixneo here, and I believe this is going to be the Christmas Fusion. So hopefully, this is my first time looking at this. Come on, give me a good one, give me a fun champion here for the Christmas Fusion. All right, we've got a legendary Magic Affinity support for the High Elves. A1 attack 1 enemy with a 30% chance of placing a Veil buff on a random ally for 1 turn. Cannot be on this champion. Single hitter that places the base version of Veil on a random enemy or a random ally. Okay, it's all right for an A1. We've got A2, plays 60% increased defense and 15% continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. Then attack all enemies under freeze debuffs. Plays 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns on all enemies under freeze debuffs. That's good. That could synergize pretty well, especially with like a Torment, because you've got Torment's defense based. You increase defense, you bring some heals, and then you synergize with freeze and place weaken plus attack things. So yeah, lots of synergy capability there. I'm liking where that's headed. Then we've got the A3 attack 5 times at random. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a freeze. Okay, so can place freeze herself here. Has a 100% chance of placing a freeze debuff on enemies that receive 2 hits. Wow. So 5 times at random, and if the first hit does not place the freeze, the second time she randomly hits somebody, it's 100% chance to place. I'm assuming that will need accuracy though, because it does not say cannot be resisted. So we're gonna need high accuracy on Pixneo. Then we've got a passive here. Whenever an enemy places a freeze debuff on an ally, has a 20% chance of stealing the freeze debuff and placing it on this champion instead. Interesting. So it's going to steal a freeze debuff to place it on herself. Has a 25% chance of filling the champion's turn gear by 20% every time they receive a freeze. 35% chance of removing any freeze debuffs from this champion at the start of every turn. If there are multiple champions on the team with the skill, only 1 will activate. Interesting. So she's gonna kind of be like, hey, let me step up, I'll take the freeze debuff, and and then I'll have a chance of cleansing it every turn. You could probably book that to increase that effect. So a really synergistic freeze champion here with on lots of our kit, which makes sense for a Christmas winter type fusion. Increase ally resist in all battles by 80, which is resist is becoming a pretty good stat in the arena the more the game ages here. So okay, looks fun. My first reaction is kind of, there's a lot going on here, a lot of synergy type stuff, and it's hard to get an idea of how good this champion's gonna be until I can really dive in and test it for a few hours in the arena and try to build some teams around this and see how much value it kind of feels like you're getting when you're playing with it live. But at least it's fun. My first reaction to grading it would probably be like a B+. It seems a little bit niche. It's not like a general utility amazing champion that we just knew was going to be meta shifting, like a Torment or something when he got released to the game. So looks very synergistic, and I'd give it like a B+. Looks like it has potential to be really good in the right situation. All right, then we've got, this is a new Void Legendary dropping, going to be Yakarl the Scourge. So we've got a lot going on here. The A1, attack 1 enemy 2 times, placing a freeze. Okay, so also more freeze theme here. We'll ignore shield buffs if there are 1 or more enemies under freeze. We'll also ignore block damage buffs if there are 2 or more under freeze. We'll ignore 30% of the target's defense if 3 or more. So an A1 with some potential to hit pretty hard there on freeze teams to synergize well with that. Then we've got attack 1 enemy, 75% chance of placing a decreased speed. These are going to book to 100%. Decreased speed for 3 turns. and then place a freeze debuff for 1 turn. Okay, pretty cool there. Also steals 100% of the target's turn meter and places wow, that's also going to be good for like boss fights and stuff. Steal 100% of the target's turn meter and place increased speed on this champion to help them snowball, and that's for 3 turns as well. So yep, pretty good here. Attack 1 enemy 3 times. If target's under a freeze, remove the debuff after attacking and places it on all enemies. So it'd be kind of like a debuff spread, but remove it from that enemy. Will also attack all enemies under the initial target, except the initial target after the 3rd hit. Okay, so yeah, another pretty synergistic damage dealer here. With that's going to be kind of one that I need to see in action to get. These are kind of interesting ones that are kind of bringing new type of design and a synergy to the game. Passive effect. Decrease the damage the champion receives by 10% and increases damage the champion inflicts by 10% if there are. Okay, that's pretty cool. If people are under freeze, more synergy. And then increases champion speed by 15 and res by 50 if there are 2 or more enemies under a freeze. Wow. So yeah, a pretty cool damage dealer here with someone like Tormund. Active effect, place an unkillable buff on the champion for 2 turns whenever there are 3 enemies under a freeze, but a pretty significant little qualifier there. Increase ally attack in the Doom Tower by 43%. So there is a boss in the Doom Tower that is really based around freeze, and I'm thinking that's why we're seeing some of these champions that are able to deal with freeze and steal freeze, manipulate freeze, synergize with it and stuff, because I believe there's like that tough spider boss in the Doom Tower that's going to synergize or be very involved with freeze. Then we've got a couple epics here. These are the newer epics to the game. Let's see how good they are. I'll go through it quick for you guys. I know this is getting long to watch. 30% chance of decreasing duration of 1 random buff if under also okay, so more qualifiers on an A1. It's all right though. It could be good. Block debuffs on all eyes for 1 turn and strengthen. That's pretty cool. That's a good ally utility ability for an epic. And then we've got AoE freeze, whose attack are higher than their defense. Interesting. 70% chance of placing HP burn, whose defense are higher than their attack. Okay, so AoE HP burn or AoE freeze, not bad for an epic. That's pretty solid. And then we've got passive, heals all allies by 5% of their max HP every time an enemy under. Ooh, that's pretty good. Under an HP burn gets a turn. Fill turn meter of all allies by 10% every time enemy under freeze debuff gets a turn. Yeah, pretty cool. I like the passive. That's pretty consistent value that synergizes with the kit. Pretty cool passive. And then ally defense in all battles by 25%. Again, looks like a pretty solid epic. Yeah, I like it. I'd give that a pretty high grade there. Then we've got the last one here. Attack 1 enemy, 40% chance to play. Block buffs. Hey, that's a good A1. I like it. AoE of placing a bomb that detonates after 1 turn. That's pretty good for an epic. Remove all debuffs from all allies, then place a 15% continuous heal buff for 1 turn on each ally for every debuff removed from them. That's a pretty good ability for an epic champion. I like that. Fill the turn meter of all allies by 10% whenever a bomb debuff detonates. That's pretty cool. Synergizes with the A2 there. But it's not going to happen a whole lot because that is a 5-turn cooldown that you can probably book to 4. Increase ally defense and faction wars by 30%. Yeah, okay. Pretty fun epic. I like that. And now I think this will be the last part of the video. We've got the artifact rebalance. We've updated 8 underperforming artifact sets to ensure you have more gearing options for your champions, no matter whether you are a new player with a limited collection or a veteran seeking new strategies. Okay, so come on, give us good changes. I'm reacting to this live here. Retaliation, 4 set, they upped it to 35%. I mean, it's better. It's still yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's really gonna affect retaliation. It's a step in the right direction. It's a tweak, which I'm okay with, but I don't know if that's gonna significantly change the how often the set is used. Regeneration heals by 15% up from 10. I probably would have upped that to 20%, maybe even 25, because yeah, I would have probably made that a 2-piece set and then just left it at 10%, or the 4-piece should have been 20 or 25. But hey, it's a tweak. It's a step in the right direction on it. Toxic. This one needed a desperate change. 75% up. Oh, come on. They left it as a 4-piece set with the baby poisons. That's disappointing. That's the worst one. They left it as a 4-piece set that places baby poisons. I don't know why. That was the most obvious. The toxic set was the most obvious and easy one to fix, in my opinion. That's a really underwhelming change. I'm disappointed in the toxic set change there. Reflex 4 set. Now this one, I think they got pretty close to being right. That's pretty cool. Changing that from 30 to 40. I think that makes reflex better. I think it'll be used more often. There's some champions that'll be better on than relentless. That already was the case sometimes. If somebody had a bad A1 and it was all about cycling through their abilities and not necessarily taking an extra turn, there was some opportunities where the reflex set was actually better than relentless. That'll definitely be the case now. So this one I like. The toxic, you really messed up and you hoodwinked us. But the reflex one they got right. That's kind of cool. I like that one. Avenging. 45% chance up from 30 to counterattack when hit by a crit. No damage penalty. Yeah, okay, similar to retaliation. It's a tweak. It's a good thing, but I don't know if it'll significantly change how often the set is used. Destroy decreases enemy max HP by 40 up from 30. Yeah, it's better, but again, I don't think it's significant enough to really change it, to change how often it's used. Cursed, up, so 75% from 50 of placing a 50% heal reduction for 2 turns. Yeah, that one's closer to being right. Yeah, that's better than like the avenging and the retaliation and stuff. But okay, not what I would have done, but that's definitely better. Curing, 4 set is going to heal 20% up from 10. Yeah, I would have probably made that 25% if I'm going to make it a 4-piece set, but it's a step in the right direction. So, okay. The set rebalancing, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by. The reflex one was definitely the best. I think that's the crown jewel of the artifact rebalancing in terms of change, and the the worst one is definitely toxic. I'm very disappointed by the change to toxic set. It's basically completely unaffected. Okay, so reflex, good job Plarium. Toxic, bad job Plarium. and the other ones are kind of meh. Okay, all right, so let's keep going here and get this wrapped up. And then miscellaneous Christmas decorations, return to the Bastion, meet the holiday season in style. And many faction war stages went through rebalance tweaks and should be easier to complete. That is definitely true, and it is noticeable. I think I did a video on that, but faction wars seem to be about 10 to 15% easier depending on the stage. They basically lowered the base stats of the enemies you're going to be facing. I think some of the earlier boss fights now don't have minions that used to. So yeah, I think it's a good change. The more people in the community that can dive in and complete faction wars, the better, because now the Doom Tower is kind of replacing faction wars as the end game grind that the community is doing. So I think all in all, that's a pretty solid change. So let's get this put away. And yeah, I will link to that forum post down below if you want to go ahead and read through it yourself. I apologize for the super long video, guys. There was a lot to cover though, and I had a lot of fun going over this new stuff. So definitely let me know down in the comments what you think in terms of if you agree or disagree with anything I said. I really enjoy reading your guys' input as well, so we can all kind of learn from each other on this new stuff coming to Raid. But hey, it's exciting. At least there's new stuff to dive into, and all in all, I'm positive for the future month of December, and then heading into 2021. And then the champions looked really good. Lots of the epics look like they're going to be top 25 epics. The epics looked like they're pretty solid, and then a few of those legendaries looked like they're going to be top 25 legendaries as well. So yeah, lots of good champions being released to help us dive into the Doom Tower. The aesthetics look cool. Yeah, lots of fun stuff to go over. So that's going to do it for me in this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.